Prepare yourselves for what I'm about to say. Stand-up comedy is a really good form of entertainment. Yep. Alrighty, there you have it, guys. Make sure you subscribe and enjoy the video. Alright, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hello. No, but seriously, it's a great way to improve your mood if you're feeling down. There's a ton of comics now, so you're basically guaranteed to find at least one that fits your style of humor. It's great to know that dark humor isn't completely dead in this current day, and it's also a great way to pass the time when I'm making ramen. You got guys like Sam Morrill, Josh Johnson, Mark Norman, Kevin Hart, Bo Burnham, Dave Chappelle is still going strong, all great comics. However, there's one guy, or should I say, puppet, that stands out above them all. Hard not to when you're purple. It's Randy Feltface. Randy Feltface, an Aussie comic known for appearing in things such as Sammy J and Randy, Bring the Funny, and of course his own stand-up specials and YouTube channel, has been in the business since 2005 and in recent years has garnered mass popularity. Partly because the ending to his special Randy Writes a Novel was uploaded to YouTube by another channel an entire month before Randy uploaded the special to his own channel, and it blew up, to put it simply. Yeah, this thing pulled views faster than I pull excuses out of my hair to not make videos, which is pretty darn quick. And while it is unfortunate that one of Randy's most famous bits was made famous by virtue of it being uploaded by someone who wasn't him, it still helped him gain that extra traction as well as perfectly convey a message to every single soul that watched the short and sweet 21-minute video, and that message is that in terms of comedy, Randy Feltface is a bit of a genius. And I know that's a strong statement, one that Randy himself probably doesn't agree with, but I stand by it, because no other comedian has really done what Randy does and is doing, and that is connecting with the audience, not just through humor, but also through philosophy, through posing questions and presenting ideas that leave said audience laughing 1 minute and contemplating their lives the next. And it works. But before I get too far into the serious side of Randy's specials, I want to make note of the other things that make Randy stick out. The first thing worth noting is Randy himself, the puppet. It's really good. The man behind Randy, or should I say, under Heath MacIver, is of course a professional in this field, to the point where he does what I'm sure is the goal of every puppeteer, and that's puppet the puppet in question, in this case Randy, so well that you forget it's a puppet in the first place. The movements are extremely organic, down to the slightest hand gesture or movement of the mouth, from even the smallest off-the-cuff chuckle, able to engage with the crowd in seemingly unscripted segments while still maintaining completely coherent and natural movement with Randy. It's super impressive. I'm sure for him it's easier than breathing at this point in his life, but for a big old dum-dum like me that don't know how stuff works, it's really cool to watch. The design of Randy is also another thing worth mentioning, as Randy has gone through two major ones, and I'll be honest, the first one, at least compared to the second, more current one, it doesn't look that good, so I'll be mainly focusing on the latter, as it is just an overall improvement. Randy's mouth is less pointy than the previous one, his fingers aren't as loose, his clothes are better fitted to his body. It's just an overall improvement, like I said. Another good aspect of Randy's designs is his features, or lack thereof in this case. He has no hair, no nose, no teeth, it's just 2 eyes and a mouth, and he's purple. You may be asking, what about this makes it good? And to that I answer by having such simplistic features on a non-flesh colored felt tone, if you will. Randy's design is kept the farthest away from looking like something fresh out of Uncanny Valley as possible. In other words, by looking not at all like a human, he actually comes off as more unintimidating, down to earth, and approachable than if he were to look like a human, which is really good for being a comedian. I mean, imagine this thing telling you the story of how he bought a bookshelf off Gumtree, or this thing, or this. It really wouldn't be the same, and it also just raised the question that if you're so keen on the puppet looking like a person, why not just be up there yourself? Design and execution wise, Randy is masterfully done, almost like it's genius. Alright, moving on. Next point of interest I'd like to focus on is the actual comedy and humor of Randy, as once again, it's very good. Shocker. One of Randy's strongest points when it comes to humor is visual humor. Despite only having two unblinking eyes and a mouth, Randy is extremely expressive, able to show emotions like anger, excitement, surprise, the list goes on. Seeing him react these ways, whether it be due to the audience or to add emphasis to a story he's retelling, will always, at the very least, give me a smile. The subtle shake Randy does from time to time is also hilarious. Again, his face is completely blank, but you can practically feel the rage when he screams, "Your vanity is sucking up my bandwidth." Another excellent form of visual humor Randy does is just simply being aware that he's a puppet, making jokes that he's actually not real and that he can't see, which on a few occasions has led to him looking straight up the middle aisle in an attempt to talk to the audience. His delivery is spectacular. I especially like his reaction to finding a combine harvester on Gumtree. His entire bit on Ernest Hemingway is masterfully done. This guy is a vegan, and I didn't immediately want to bang my head on a steel surface when he started talking about veganism. That all alone should prove how funny he is. So, visual humor, great delivery, hilarious jokes that almost anyone can laugh at. Randy quite literally has it all in terms of comedy, but as I said before, he has a little bit more. Oftentimes, Randy will adopt a more serious tone into his specials, discussing topics such as fear, love, purpose, disregarding jokes almost entirely in order to ground the show and audience whilst posing these questions and ideals that shape all of our lives. This really provides an amazing contrast. One minute you're laughing at a purple puppet talking about, in his own words, veganism and fisting old ladies. The next, he's asking whether or not it's truly necessary for us to make an impact during our minuscule time spent living. He'll tell stories not just to make the crowd laugh, but to send the crowd a message that'll stick with them long after the show is over. Why do we do the things we do? Why do we distract ourselves from productivity with such menial things like alcohol or endless entertainment when our time could be spent doing literally dozens of better things? It's the bits like these that separate Randy from every other comedian, and definitely for the better. A perfect example of Randy's genius, there's that word again, is The Last Temptation of Randy, a special that can only be found in the playlist section of his channel. It tells a very real and grounded story about truly finding and knowing when you've found the one, but unable to truly act upon it because of flaws and doubts you find with yourself. The special asks whether or not we even need love, whether or not we have to first be fully content with ourselves before we can even think of finding love, and can you find love with someone that isn't the one? By the end of it all, while I won't spoil it, you're left with a very surreal and genuine ending that leaves you contemplating the world of love in all sorts of ways. This is why I believe Randy to be a comedy genius, because from how I see it, he's a writer first and a comedian second. I mean, just listen to the way he speaks and the words he uses. His vocab is very deep, and he's extremely expressive and animated when speaking. Helps that he's a puppet, but still. His specials aren't just a string of jokes until the hour is up. There's a message to be learned and a question poised from each and every one. Why do we pursue love? Why do we overindulge ourselves? Why do we have fear? Why do we feel the need to conform ourselves to be like how others want? These are the takeaways I had when I finished watching them. If you thought of every stand-up special as food, most would be snacks. You eat them, they fill you up for the time being, then it's done. But Randy's specials are like full meals. It takes time to finish, to settle, to fill you up, but when it does, you're good. You're good for a while. The jokes are the side dishes, not the main course. That's the questions, the philosophy, the kind of stuff that'll make you sit back and genuinely ask, why? And the ending is a dessert that is so foreign to you compared to every other food, or in this case, stand-up special, but still tastes as if you've been eating it your entire life. And for those reasons, that is why Randy Feltface is a comedic genius, and why I welcome his kind of comedy. So, with that all said and done, I'm Easily Easy, and I'll see you next time.